So Matt, I've worked a lot with you in the past, but for everybody who's listening, tell us a little bit about FLX Solutions.
Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Matt Bilsky, founder, CEO of FLX Solutions, and we make the FLX BOT here. And what we've heard from a number of people out in the industry is just how warehousing and distribution is always talking about that last mile problem. In inspection and maintenance, it's really that last meter. There's a lot of technologies out there that can scan a space, get you 80-90% of the map, but it's that last meter, places above the ceiling, under the floor, where some of the most important information is hiding, but it's also the most difficult and dangerous and expensive to get to. Yeah. So here at FLX Solutions and with our FLX BOT, we're looking to really address those issues. So the FLX BOT here is a 1-inch diameter snake-like robot made up of identical segments. Each one's packed full of sensors, it's got cameras, they can rotate, and we also have the patented ability to extend, and here I'll show you a little bit here. So this is our first generation hardware, and we're firing it up. And you can see that we're able to do rotations in these joints.
Yeah.
And from those rotations, we can combine them to do in-plane movements. And then our new generation of hardware, instead of bending it just 45 degrees, can actually bend up to 90. Yeah. So it's designed that a worker with minimal effort and training here, I'll show you, can take a FLX BOT, stand safely on the ground, insert it up into a cavity or a tight space. It'll detect the obstacles and bend itself around them. So just how, as a former contractor myself, when we'd go in and fish things, we'll be able to insert it up, and then you can put different end effectors on the ends. Cameras, sensors, grippers, you name it. Yeah. And so whether you're inserting it down below or up above, the whole notion is stay safe and get that data and information you need.
Yeah, so and then this is something that's going to be like a tool that's used by contractors.
Exactly, so one of our key selling points here is affordability. Comes from basically driving that price point down, that you could actually mass deploy this. So we're able to start at a few grand and drive that price point down to hundreds of dollars to where you could actually have one of these in every worker's truck. Yeah. So the notion is you have the equipment you need to do the job the first time, decreasing truck roll costs and things like that. And also, sometimes we come up with all sorts of creative ways of doing things that might not be the best,
Yeah, so what's the state of the art for what they do now? Say a contractor needs to go fix something in the plenum of a ceiling.
Right.
What are they using?
So a lot of times you're getting up on a ladder. If you're a one-off contractor, OSHA's not really looking, and so you're probably dangling off of stuff. Or a lot of times to do it correctly and safely, it takes two workers. One in a high-low with fall protection, things like that. Another person cordoning off the area. Or if they're entering confined spaces, you need to ventilate it. But a lot of major organizations are really doing their best these days to keep workers out of confined spaces. Yeah. So in general, we're trying to take these things that might take two workers and get it down to where one worker can do it safely.
Yeah, so it's like reducing in half at least the cost per job.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, safety. So
precisely, safety.
Yeah.
And then in construction and maintenance, the construction industry especially is really based on information asymmetry, where you know more than your client. Yeah. But in a bid-based organization, when you're not scanning that last meter, if I was going to hide something, that's where I'd hide it. That's where the surprises are coming up. So being able to actually create a more full picture before you go into a job, understand the environment better, really gives you more information to go out and make better decisions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about digital twins, and buildings have BIM models where everything is modeled out. These areas, are they covered in the BIM models? Is there data on this already, or is this a gray space?
Yeah, that's a great question. So BIM, building information modeling, is take like your blueprints and make them 4D. So you actually have the 3D model of the actual building, but then you also have information about the systems, the management, this whole building in a map information. So scanning the floor plan, that 80-90%, a lot of robots here at ICRA that are really good at that. Yep. That's happening regularly. But this last meter, concrete anchors, pipe holders, a lot of that is not being scanned, or if it is, maybe you're getting one view. But what we hear a lot about is it's really important to have multiple views of the same thing to really get that full picture, to actually be able to fully inspect it. And so we're looking at changing that to, great, we can do this. Another thing we hear a lot is, we did it once. But really you want to continuously update that whole model because things change with time. Yeah. And so if it's easy and low barriers to entry to actually go and do these scans, then you can track the life cycle of a building and go and regularly inspect and maintain, and catch that little drip before the whole ceiling falls in.
Yeah. So before you use a tool like this, and you have a contractor who's doing it one-off, you're capturing some amount of data. What are you unlocking once you bring in this robot automation tool to that task.
Right, so that's what we're calling the last meter. That's what we're really looking to unlock. That last 10, 15% of the space, whether it's in a data center or those sort of environments with raised floors enabling you to easily get underneath them, or in structured engineering environments, refineries, ships, any sort of those sort of places, we can get up and in, and really people are just taking their best guess right now, or really contorting themselves and getting some nice back injuries and hearing loss to try to get that information. And so we're trying to, really change that.
Is there anything else on the market that's kind of looking at the same target customer and same applications?
So we like to joke our biggest competitor is the status quo, right? People are, we have roofs over our heads, jobs are getting done. But again, not all that information is getting there. In terms of technologies, people might say, oh, what about a GoPro on a stick? But then you run into the inability to contort into tight spaces, and then you end up with only a single view, as opposed to a full photogrammetric reconstruction and all of that information. So we're kind of first generation in this small scale, and then frankly affordable, that you can actually give this to every worker, as opposed to having one that maybe goes and does special tasks, that we can actually see these being mass deployed across entire fleets.
Yeah, not to mention a GoPro on a stick is not a product. It's just a way to capture data, and just data by itself raw. You don't see many contractors going in with a GoPro on a stick and doing that.
Well, exactly, and that's a great point, Abate, where really, as I like to joke, I'm the CEO of a robotics company, and forming partnerships on the data front is hard enough. If you're a one-off contractor, even some of these mid-scale, large-scale, they want a turnkey solution. They want data with semantic segmentation, understanding what things are, identifying it, that turnkey package. So the ability to collect the data, process it, management, and that's what we're looking at offering. Yes, a tool to get data that you haven't been able to get before, but then also helping to work with you on integrating that into pipelines and getting you actionable information that you can use. Whereas, just to your point, having a camera is great, but now you just have a flash drive. What do you do?
You don't have any product.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.